Hello and welcome back to the Earthy Goodness Kitchen. I hope you're doing well and you're looking for some cooking inspiration because today I've got for you another wholesome plant-based dinner idea. We're making these stuffed Indian spiced cabbage rolls with a flavoursome masala sauce and a quick herby yogurt to go on top. So let's get cooking. To start this recipe, we're going to prepare the cabbage by gently removing the leaves. If the outer ones look a bit old or torn, then feel free not to use them. The first few should peel off fairly easily, and then you can use a knife to cut them away from the core, and then they should just come straight off. You can use most of the leaves, but once they start getting smaller than roughly your hand, you'll have to stop, and the rest can be used for a stir fry or stew. Next, we're going to bring a pan of water to the boil with a good pinch of salt, and simply blanch the cabbage leaves. And by blanch, I mean cooking in boiling water for a few minutes, and then removing into cold water to stop the cooking process. I thought I'd do another cabbage recipe today as I love using seasonal veg and cabbages are currently in season where I live. Eating seasonal is great as you get the best price for your veg, it's more nutritious and you can eat more locally. We'll then just use a tea towel or kitchen roll to give the leaves a little pat dry and then they are ready to be filled. Cabbages are also very budget friendly. I believe I got this one for about 60p or something like that, so yeah, very cheap. Next up, we're going to prepare the filling using another seasonal veggie, and that is the leek. And we're just going to finely slice it. Leeks are often quite muddy due to the layers that trap mud, and they're often covered in mud during the growing process, so make sure to give them a good wash after you've sliced them. If there are some tougher outer leaves on the leek, feel free to remove them, but don't throw them away. You can use them for veggie stock or just simply put them into stews, as they'll take slightly longer to cook than the whiter part of the leek. Next, I've got one sweet potato which I'm going to simply grate with the skin on. I have already washed it, and this is a great way to prepare veg that would usually take a bit longer to cook, as it's going to literally cook in minutes now. Next, I've got some walnuts that I've soaked in warm water for about 10 minutes. They're still going to have a slight bite to them, but they're just going to be a bit softer, and they're going to add a lovely texture to the cabbage leaf filling. Simply finely chop into it sort of the texture of rough sand. As well as grating the sweet potato, I'm also going to grate this extra firm tofu into some nice shreds. Once again, it's going to cook a lot quicker and it's easily going to be distributed through the mix. Also great for adding some protein to this filling. And then final bit of veg prep before we start cooking, I'm just going to mince some garlic. Heat up a large frying pan. I'm probably going to do this in 2 batches as my induction hob is quite small. We'll then add some olive oil followed by some cumin and coriander seeds. I love cooking with whole spices as they add a lovely burst of spice and the flavour will infuse into the rest of the dish. Next up, we're going to add our sweet potatoes and just fry them for a couple of minutes. For the cabbage roll filling, we're making it fairly subtle in flavour as the actual masala sauce is going to be a really rich, deep curry flavour. Then add in your tofu, spreading it around evenly across the pan, followed by your sliced leek. Most of the ingredients we're using contain quite a lot of moisture, so we're going to cook this down for around 10 minutes to evaporate all the moisture, and then this is going to allow the ingredients to caramelise properly. And it's always good to remember in cooking that colour is flavour, so if you haven't got colour on your veggies or protein, then it's probably going to be quite bland. Next we'll add in our chopped garlic and walnuts, followed by tomato puree and marmite for that lovely umami flavour. You can also use tamari if you'd like. Cook out the tomato puree for a couple minutes, then add in your vegetable stock and cook until it's almost completely evaporated. There you've got a beautiful filling for those cabbage leaves. It's got a lovely texture, lots of nutrients in there, and a nice slightly spicy aroma.
Ooh, that's quite hot. That's really good. Got nice sort of firm, slightly chewy texture from the tofu and the walnuts, and then you've got little lemony bursts coming from the coriander seeds, caramelized leek and sweet potato, and that's going to make a lovely filling for those cabbage leaves.
To prepare the cabbage leaves for the filling, we're simply going to cut out the thickest part of the leaf, making a sort of triangle. Then place a good scoop of the filling on the bottom of the leaf, fold over the sides and then roll it into a tight little packet. All the cabbage leaves are going to be a different size, so be sure to adjust the amount of filling depending on the size of the leaf, and then it should roll up perfectly. We're going to be making a delicious sauce for these to bake in, but you could also just bake them on a tray and enjoy them as like a snack with some dip. Don't worry if there are any holes or a little bit of filling escape, it isn't going to be too much of a problem. Now we'll make the incredibly flavoursome masala sauce, starting by quickly browning off some onions over a medium-high heat. Personally, I like to either cook onions really slowly so they get nice and caramelised, or do them over a high heat so they char slightly and get a lovely flavour. Next we're going to add in our chopped garlic and chopped ginger and just cook this out for a few minutes. Then we'll add our dry spices, and to keep things simple I'm going to be using a pre-made mild curry powder and then a few other spices to bump up the flavour, including some turmeric, ground cardamom and some Kashmiri chili powder. Kashmiri chili powder adds an amazing colour and flavour without adding too much spice compared to most chili powders. Next, for some added protein and fibre, I'm going to add some red lentils, which I briefly soaked in warm water just so that they can cook quicker and get lovely and soft. Stir these in and then we'll add some chopped tomatoes and veggie stock. I always like to use the veg stock to wash out the can so that everything is used, and then I just pop the lid of the can back in, squeeze it shut, and that ensures that no one's going to cut themselves on it. Bring the sauce to a simmer and we're going to cook it with the lid mostly on for about 20 minutes, stirring every 5 to 8 minutes. Then we're going to add in 1 can of coconut milk, followed by some fenugreek leaves, which have a lovely earthy sweet and aromatic flavour. Simply crumble these between your fingers so you don't have too many big bits. I'm then going to finish the sauce with some garam masala, which has a lovely sweet and fragrant flavour from spices such as nutmeg, cinnamon and clove. Then some tamari for that umami flavour, and a little bit of lemon juice just to brighten up the sauce. I've cooked this in a separate pan to the one I'll be baking it in. This is only because my induction hob doesn't really like big pans. You can cook it in the one pan to reduce washing up, or you could bake it in any other oven-proof dish. Then all you have to do is add your cabbage rolls until the dish is nice and full, drizzle over a little oil, followed by a sprinkle of cumin seeds and mustard seeds for an extra crunchy pop of aromatic flavour. I'm going to bake it for 20 minutes with the lid on and 10 minutes with the lid off until it's lovely and bubbling, the cabbage rolls are soft and they've got a slight golden crust on the top. To finish the dish, I'm going to make this quick yogurt dressing, starting with some soy yogurt, then some lime zest and juice, chopped mint and coriander, and a good grating of black pepper. This is going to be a nice contrast to the warm spices, and if you like, you can also add a little bit of mango chutney. So that is ready to serve. It's a really well-rounded dish. You've got carbs, protein and fat, and just bags of nutrients in there. You could also serve it with some rice or some flatbreads if you wanted to.
Okay, let's give it a taste. This is going to be my dinner tonight, so I'm very excited to get stuck in. That is just gorgeous. Lovely. This is honestly so delicious. It's got lovely warming spices, a rich creamy sauce, and it just feels really special. I think it would be perfect to serve the friends or family for a special occasion. Everyone can have a couple cabbage rolls and then a nice dollop of sauce. You could serve it with some rice if you wanted to, or some flatbreads as well. That would be nice. It is well balanced as it's got carbs from the sweet potato, and then it's got protein coming from the lentils and the tofu. So yeah, definitely give this a go. It's a really lovely dish, and let me know what you think about it. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to click that subscribe button, and also if you want some more plant-based goodness, then check out this video.